I got some good news. Steve Frambo, the co CEO of Aptera, is actually on a podcast, and this was done January the 8th of 2023. And he's talking a lot of things about where Aptera is as far as production, when it's going to come out, and about their finances. So we're going to get into that. Um, this is so long, I actually had to divide this into several parts. So I'll come out with the next part tomorrow, and you can listen to that section, and I'll just keep coming out with it the next day. So y'all continue to stay tuned and listen up. All right, so here we are. We're going to go ahead and start listening to this podcast, and we'll talk about it.
You're listening to A Climate Change. This is Matt Mattern, your host. I've got Steve Fambro, CEO of Aptera, on the show. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I want to just, a little background for the listeners as to what Aptera is. It's an electric car company that has been going for a while, and I got interested in it when I saw the cars that you had developed, and that they could be charged directly from the sun, and that they had the photovoltaic cells on the car, and it kind of looks a little like a spaceship. And then I read further and saw that you are shooting to have batteries that have a charge that could last for 1,000 miles for one charge, which also is kind of a bit revolutionary. So tell us a little bit more about this revolutionary car that you've been developing at Aptera, and when are we going to see it on the road?
Sure. Just to set the timeline. So Chris and I actually restarted the company in 2019. We had started Aptera originally back in 2006, and we raised some money, brought in a professional management team, and it just didn't work out. So we left the company, and he went on to start a battery company, Flex Power, and took it public. And I got into farming because I love food. And that took me to the Middle East, where I did some work for one of the big families there, and came back to the U.S. With my family in 2017, and we restarted Aptera a couple of years later because we saw that the market had changed, that electric vehicles weren't just a curiosity, that everybody wanted them, and they couldn't make them fast enough. How we got the 1,000-mile idea was after we did some analysis on the sales of electric vehicles. We saw that among several factors, range was one of the big driving factors in sales volumes. And so we thought, why not maximize the range as much as possible? And we did some calculations and determined that with some of the newer battery formats, the larger 4800 series cells, that we could pack in enough batteries, just about 100 kilowatt hours, to go 1,000 miles. So that's how that happened.
So where are you at currently in development, and when can we expect to see the first kind of cars out on the road for purchase?
We've just finished a major design lockdown on basically every subsystem, but most importantly, the body and carbon. And that's key because it's the largest, most expensive tooled surface of the vehicle. Lots of other things can be adjusted after the fact. You know, if a bracket doesn't fit, then we can make a new bracket or adapt it somehow. But getting the suspension, the closures, as they're called, doors, windows, that kind of thing, and the body in complete design lockdown that's what we've been working on for the past year. We've just passed that milestone. So now we've got I'd say 6 months ago, we purchased some very expensive blocks of tooling steel from Germany. They're massive, they're bigger than people. And the steel is going to be machined into tools in Italy at our supplier, CPC. So those blocks had to be purchased about 6 months ago because of how long it takes. They've just been delivered a couple of weeks ago. And very soon they're going to start machining those tools to begin making the body structure. And we expect the first test bodies to roll off the line mid-year this year, and production vehicles ready to be sold by the end of the year.
Okay, so right here, he said that they actually bought tooling steel blocks, and they did that 6 months ago, and that the CPC have gotten them several weeks ago. So back in June, they got the blocks, and then probably back around the beginning and middle of December, they they the CPC has received the blocks, so they can start cutting them out, which is very good. But he also said that they don't expect to start having them produce until the middle of this year. So we'll probably be waiting until early May, June before we actually even see a physical delta. Hopefully not, but we'll see. All right, let's see what else you got to say.
Wow, that's moving fast in comparison to in the car world. It takes years to kind of design and create a new car, from my understanding. It's tell us a little bit about the photovoltaic cells that are on the car. And
I'm gonna pause it right there for a second because Matt Mattern, he's actually right about that. It takes a long time to get geared up to produce a car because they're actually working with steel. But since Aptera is working with composite, it's so much simpler, as I brought out in one of my videos. All right, let's go on.
how those will work, and how much electricity is likely to be generated from them, so that this car can go without plugging in to operate.
Yeah, we use Maxion cells. And when we restarted the company in 2019, the state of batteries and solar cells had made massive improvements. These cells didn't exist back in 2006 when we first started the company. And so once we discovered these cells, and once we figured out a way to bend them in part of a structural panel, we calculated, how much energy we could get just from having the roof solar. And Chris and I were, I had MATLAB on my computer, and we were doing these calculations, simulations. And we said, we could get a couple of miles extra range a day if we have this solar roof. Isn't that great? And then the light went on in our head. Our body's surface is so smooth. Why not how much could we get if we covered the whole body in solar cells? And so that was the genesis behind that. And we determined that we could get a peak solar power of about 700 watts, and over a period of a day, about 4 kilowatt hours. And because our vehicle's so efficient, we use 100 watt hours per mile compared to like the new Hummer. I think it uses 700 or 800 watt hours per mile. Because we're so efficient, 4 kilowatt hours translates easily into 40 miles. And so that's how we came up with that. And once we committed to that, the solar actually became the largest part of our IP portfolio. It's the most research intensive part of our business because nobody's doing what we're doing the way we're doing it. There are some other companies with solar cells on the vehicles, but our panels are, I think, the lightest weight, probably the lowest cost, most robust. They're very damage tolerant. You can put a bullet through it and it'll still produce power. It'll just be reduced by a little bit. You can hurl ice cubes at it and softballs and it still keeps functioning. So developing that and then making it manufacturable at high scale, and then making it to automotive standards where it's going to last for 10, 15 years, vibration, salt, snow, freeze thaw cycles. That's been a large part of our R&D effort.
Well, that is a fascinating possibility to get 40 miles from just sitting in the sun. And obviously, there are certain parts of the country and in the world where we get a lot of sun, and you could do almost all your driving without ever plugging the car in, just having it sit in the driveway or on the road picking up energy. So that could be revolutionary. I assume this is just the start in terms of you're at 40 miles now. I assume it's going to go up over time.
Yes.
And this is one of the things that really drawed me to Aptera, because the energy that you're using, you can actually replenish for free, getting your solar power from the sun. And that's why I named my channel Free Power. Because a lot of people, that's what they want. They don't want to go out and spend money for energy if they don't have to. They could use that money for other things. And Aptera is just an awesome car. This is just such a beautifully well-made car that if you're not excited for this vehicle, I don't know what to say. Just don't know what to say. But I am, and I'm going to get mine. All right, let's go on.
The solar cells are going to get more efficient. We're also going to have different models with different amount of surface area. And we're also working with some other companies to commercialize sort of a fledgling solar mobility business, leveraging our technology for other customers and looking to monetize that. So it's not just our vehicle, it's other vehicles, it's other applications that our solar can really help lower the impact of electric vehicles on the grid. By doing this, we're able to deploy lots of electric vehicles and electrify lots of things without necessarily having to worry about bringing the grid along to modern standards. Sure, we need a modern grid, of course, but not having it is not a reason to wait on electrification. And that's really one of the benefits of Aptera.
And that's another thing too. We know that 10 years down the road, the solar cells will be more efficient because they're getting more and more efficient every year. And looking forward to that. Okay, let's go.
So in terms of financing a car company like this, I understand there's a tremendous amount of capital that's required to launch this. Where is the company at in terms of its current capital and what its needs are going forward?
Elon Musk, I think, said he called his factories money furnaces or something like that. We're not at that stage yet. I don't think we ever will be because our vehicle is fundamentally different than a car. A typical car body or body in white, as it's called, has 200 structural pieces that all have to be fixtured and welded together and held dimensionally constant during that process. Our structure has 6 pieces. So fundamentally, we're just clicking 6 pieces together as opposed to trying to hold 200 pieces together and keep them aligned. So our development time for the body is shorter. Our assembly line cost is less. Our tooling cost is less. Everything is different because of what we call the new steel, the pressed carbon. You don't have any labor in this part. You're not having to put fiber in the thing. You basically just put a block of carbon paste in the mold. It squeezes shut with 5,000 tons force, add some heat, and 3 minutes later, a structural part comes out ready to use. So fundamentally, our costs are different because they're lower because we have fewer parts and fewer tools. That said, to date, we've raised about $100 million, and that $100 million has let us develop the vehicle from scratch with all the other attendant technologies, sort of the solar, as I mentioned, the solar electronics, the battery. We made an acquisition last year of a company that makes displays and the software because they did a much better job than we could. And we've been able to do all of that on less than $100 million. To get to production, we're out in a Series B raise right now for $150 million. And we've got folks in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates in Europe and the United States that we're talking to that all want to be a part of this.
Well, it's an exciting future that you're talking about here. You're listening to Climate Change. This is Matt Matter, your host, and I've got Steve Fambro, CEO of Aptera, on the program. Aptera, a new solar electric car company, and we'll be right back with Steve to talk more about the revolutionary technology that his company is bringing to the market soon.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there. But yes, I actually talked about how simplified Aptera is with their manufacturing. I actually did two videos on that and how they can actually put the Aptera together without using a lot of heavy machinery or a bunch of robots or to weld it or even to paint the vehicle. And so with that being so simple, they don't need as much money to set shop up, so to speak. And it sounds like he's got a lot of other individuals that are interested in that terror from around the world, like in Saudi Arabia. So there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to come out with this. And I just want to say, I'm going to end this right here, but I am actually going to come out with another part of this. So this is actually part one. I'll be coming out with part two very soon. So be on the lookout for it. All right. Well, I'm going to say hi to my patrons. You guys are awesome. Hey, thanks for listening and coming to my channel. And if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe, hit the link, and ring the bell. And you'll catch my new videos when they come out. Matter of fact, I got one that's probably going to come out tomorrow. All right. Well, you guys take care. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.